Hey, Bikeaholics, do you have your grip on?
You know, the biker gripper.
Simply the best motorcycle cell phone, GPS, radar detector, and EFI tuner mount on the market.
Oh, it grips so tight.
That's right, 18 pounds grip strength to be exact.
So sleek and strong.
That's right, fits American or metric motorcycles and comes in black or chrome.
So what are you waiting for? Get your grip on.
You can get the Biker Gripper exclusively in the Law Abiding Biker store. Head over to www.lawabidingbiker.com/store and get your grip on. That's right, part 2, bitches, of the Waco, Texas follow-up episode from the shooting about a year ago.
The highest caliber weapon we've recovered is an AK-47. Family clubs don't carry the kind of weaponry we've seen in there this morning. During my walkthrough, family club members aren't going to go and hide firearms in bags of chips. They're not going to hide firearms in the toilets. That is not a family club. These were vicious gang members that were in our city Sunday.
God, I like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he's well-spoken.
Great PIO.
He is, dude.
Yeah.
Telling you, says it how it is. No bullshit. No smoke and mirrors. Hey, Bikeaholics and listeners alike, the show is still going strong because of a lot of hard work and your support, of course. Thanks to all those loyal listeners and true friends of the show that have supported us or are supporting us. For less than a coffee a month, you can help support us too and put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank to make sure this show keeps moving on down the road. So, calling all law-abiding bikers, head over to our Patreon page and take action today. You can do so at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Oh, did I mention there's benefits too? From all your friends at lawabidingbiker.com, we appreciate each and every one of you. God bless and ride safe. Oh, yeah, we should do this, huh, Popeye?
Let's do it, buddy. Let's finish it up.
Oh, man. That's right, guys. Welcome back to the Law Abiding Biker Podcast. And you heard Popeye in the studio there. This is part 2. It's our follow-up, guys. And make sure you go listen to the last episode. It is part 1. And this is the follow-up to the absolutely unfortunate biker shooting that happened about a year ago down at the Twin Peaks Restaurant down in Waco, Texas. 9 bikers, right? Dead. And
that's right. 9 bikers dead. Last episode we dove into, we got you all wet.
Oh.
Now we're going to satisfy your needs. We're really going to dive into this.
Oh, yeah. We started a little foreplay last episode.
That's right. We're going to really get into it, get some videos going on, really dive into what actually happened.
Yes, guys. Absolutely. And what's going on with the prosecutions and where things are at, and maybe some insight into why things were done the way they were done, and all that kind of good stuff. That's right, guys. And the way I understand it is, I don't think I mentioned it last episode, but 7 of the dead are Cossacks. So the way I understand it from the interviews is 2 of the Bandidos, and so Cossacks definitely lost more.
Well, when you got 3-1 or whatever it was, I would expect that to be the outcome.
Right, yeah.
Or expect that to be the outcome.
Good call. Good call, guys. It's tragic. Absolutely tragic, and our thoughts go out to anybody, because every one of those was a family member somewhere. It's unfortunate that a lot of these people interject themselves into these lifestyles and then seem to act surprised when these type of things happen. There shouldn't be any surprise that these type of things happen. If you're gonna, like we said in the last episode, if you're gonna do the lifestyle, you're going to wear the 1% patch, then just understand that's a risk you're putting yourself into. You're interjecting yourself into that, and don't be surprised. That's right, guys. Welcome back. Ryan Erlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and of course, your high-tech redneck. And of course, you heard the man, the myth, the legend. That's right. Straight
back
up
in the studio by popular demand.
And he worked hard today, because I only get Popeye once in a while in the studio, and he's manned up for 3 episodes. Here we go. And yes, that was live. That was not part of the soundbite. Straight up, dude. I love it. Popeye, thank you.
You betcha.
Just bent over on the sofa, dude. We did a live episode.
You bent over on the sofa?
No.
Sounded like that.
Maybe later. Maybe later, dude.
Jesus.
The
tits.
IKEA sofa, dude.
Jesus tits.
Totally ghetto. But he came down, and it's just great to have him back in the studio, and he's pumping out 3 episodes, because we batch process, guys. I've told you in the past, we have to. We've got full-time jobs. we try to do this on the side. So especially when I can get somebody in the studio that can't get down here very much, I try to capitalize, and I probably just burn them out. But hey, he got hamburgers, he got a double cheeseburger, and he got beer, and he got whiskey, and a sofa, and...
I hate having to get on my bike and ride for hours on end.
What a bitch.
Oh, what a bitch.
What a bitch.
Yeah, the worst part about, I could get down here more. It's just the problem is our schedules a lot of times just don't line up.
Yes.
And it's not like, he's trying to line his schedule up exactly with mine so I can get down here to do podcasts. He's got to pump them out. We're all on a schedule here. And, I've got things going on. He's got things going on. We are all busy here at Law Abiding Biker. And sometimes it just doesn't match up. But I am back in the studio. It feels good to be back on the couch.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. It's been a while, but let's jump right back into this in part 2.
I love it. Love it, dude. So make sure you guys go back and listen to part 1 of this last episode, because you're not going to understand a lot of what's going on, and we preface a lot of it. So there was a CNN special, as we mentioned. And it will be in the show notes, lawabidingbiker.com/ and the episode number on that, guys. Did we, you know what we didn't do last time, which is fine. We actually thanked patrons. We didn't, let's do this. So we love our patrons, guys. And we always thank our patrons. They make this possible for you guys. But you know what? We never balk at a flat donation. If that's the way you want to support us, please feel free. Put a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker gas tank so we can keep this thing heading on down the road. lawabidingbiker.com/donate. Go ahead and thank those people.
That's right. We would like to thank Daniel Varga of Lincoln, Nebraska. Thank you very much for your donation. And Wayne Dunham of St. Anne, Illinois. Very much appreciated. Mr. Chris Brown of Claremore, Oklahoma. Proud to be an Okie from Muskogee.
Yeah, buddy. And thank you guys. lawabidingbiker.com/donate. They didn't sit around. They're like, you know what? I look forward to this podcast every 10 days. And damn it, I don't want these guys to quit doing it. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my schedule. And, that's what they did. They just took action. They're like, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make sure that the biker revolution continues, because it's really up to all of us, the law-abiding biker scene, to make sure the revolution keeps on heading down the road, guys. And so God bless each and every one of you. And thanks to the patrons, too, that support us, of course. All right, so let's dive into this video. What we're going to do in this episode, we prefaced it in the last one. We're going to go through and we're going to play some video clips from the CNN special. Again, I'll have it in the show notes for you guys. And then we're going to do some thought processing during it, Popeye, me and you. And then we're going to each have a chance to comment.
It's kind of scary diving deep into Popeye's brain. That's
well, you can
careful
only dive
what you wish
so
for.
deep. I don't think it goes deep,
that's
dude.
Probably diving into the shallow end.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I love it. So bear with me. I'm gonna have to. We played this baddest of the bad, so we're gonna have to go to 11:34.
No idea. All of a sudden, things just went nuts.
Things went nuts in 2013 when the animosity escalated into full-throttle aggression.
There was incident after incident after incident, progressively violent behavior. There were a couple of assaults, there were a couple of beatings, there were a couple of stabbings.
In Abilene, Texas, a bloody knife fight outside a steakhouse, sparked by Cossacks wearing the Texas bottom rocker, according to police.
We know there are people that were in the restaurant eating at the time this occurred. We're not going to tolerate gang fights in the middle of a restaurant parking lot in the middle of the day.
A bandito was charged with the stabbing, but later exonerated. March 2015 in Gordon, Texas, that brutal beating at the truck stop when banditos allegedly jumped a Cossack getting gas. 2 hours later, 150 miles away, retaliation, when police say 10 Cossacks forced a bandito off the highway, then beat him with chains and metal pipes. No one was arrested in these two incidents, but the fights were getting nasty. So nasty that on May 1st, 2015, state police issued a bulletin to law enforcement agencies warning of escalating tensions between the banditos and Cossacks.
If we start to see that there's a ratcheting up or an increase or an expansion in violence, and it's with the same people that are involved with the same organizations, then that tells us that this is something we should be paying attention to.
FBI agents had picked up intelligence as well that the Bandidos were planning to go to war with the Cossacks.
All right. So let's stop it there with that particular little clip. So this, Popeye, this was, there was a lot of tension. This didn't just happen. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? A lot of these things, and you can see, whether Cossacks is 1% Club, you just heard there, police investigation revealed they ran a Bandito off the road and beat the crap out of him.
Right.
Okay. Neither of these clubs are completely innocent in this. This has been a ongoing tensions, and law enforcement was aware of it. And, there were bulletins going out. Of course, a lot of people, you hear comments and I was like, why didn't law enforcement stop it? Well, they can't just stop stuff. It's like sometimes you hear, which is funny, you'll hear, which it is funny. I get it. Comedians, I've heard it before, well, if it's a known drug house, right? Oh, that's a known drug house. Well, if it's a known drug house, why is it a known drug house? Shut it down. Well, you know what? You live in the United States of America, and it's the
Fourth Amendment.
Absolutely. It's the best country in the world. Absolutely the freest, best country in the world. I'm convinced of that. We have the best justice system in the world. However, it's still flawed because it's run by humans. It's not perfect, but it's still the best. You have more freedoms in this country. And so, yes, we do know of known drug houses, but we have to, there's rules that have to be followed.
This isn't NOM. There are rules.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well said. There's rules to follow. I mean, you're in the United States of America. You have more freedoms and protections here than anywhere else in the world. And yet people still bitch so much about them. Obviously, because they don't understand what goes on in other countries, and they would never last a day there doing some of the stuff they do here. But so again, rising tensions. What do you have to say? I have a couple other things, but I'll let you give your comments on this. Rising tensions and things going on.
Well, absolutely. Like you're starting to say, I mean, you got these rising tensions. There's a knife fight a few years before this major incident that we're talking about. You got a guy who got jumped at a gas station and beat.
His cut taken.
Yeah,
that sends a signal. There's a reason. This is over the Texas rocker. If you guys don't understand that,
right? This
is all over the Texas rocker. The bottom rocker and the Bandidos think nobody can wear the Texas rocker except them,
and
the bottom rocker.
Yeah, and there's a growing escalation in as to what you were talking about of why didn't the police just jump in and do something? Like you're saying, you can't. There are rules here, and you have to either take a substantial step towards committing a crime or actually committing a crime until the police can jump in and detain you. It's just like this thing that happened recently over here, and I mean, what an absolute tragedy in Orlando.
Oh,
what an absolute tragedy. Yes, right. And people go, why didn't the cops step in? Why didn't the FBI step in? Yeah, I understand he made some horrific he made comments. He committed a horrific tragedy later, and he did some things, but it's also of right now we're living under and we're working with only so much that you can do to go and stop somebody until they take a substantial risk. Right. It's called the First Amendment. You can say whatever the hell you want for the most part, and until you actually go and do something, then we can't just step in as law enforcement officers and detain you or arrest you or stop it. Yeah, you can't.
Oh my God, you're overstepping your authority. What are you doing? Oh my God, you're violating our rights and blah blah blah.
So as we're starting to get into, and we will get into later, why didn't the cops prevent this shootout?
We got that coming.
What in the hell do you want them to do? You just start arresting people based on what you believe they're going to do?
I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, and we'll probably dive further into that.
Oh, they would have been crying on CNN about, oh my God, the cops wouldn't even let us have dinner and eat ribs and drink beer. This is what Swanson would have said.
They're not here to drink beer and eat barbecue.
They're here to drink beer and eat barbecue.
Love that guy.
He's awesome, man.
Sergeant Swanson. If he ever listens to this podcast, you the man, dude. You the man. Say it how it is.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Covers it well.
So here's the deal, guys. One of the officers said one of the incidents there where it happened in another restaurant. Did you see that, Popeye?
Yeah.
He's right. We absolutely, law-abiding bikers, you guys listening out there, this is a biker revolution. We gotta take control and we gotta be on the same page of music, guys. We absolutely, we can't tolerate this kind of stuff. This Waco, Texas, we can't tolerate these 1%er clubs to do this on American soil. To me, and maybe I'm off the rocker, Popeye, but to me, it's domestic terrorism. It's no different. This is domestic terrorism. My family, obviously, like you said, I would have got up and left my family, but I bet I could have been across the street. There's another restaurant, I forget what it's called, but it's right across the street, and you got just flying bullets because people don't. It's so juvenile over these patches and these rockers. I mean, is this seriously fucking 2016?
Well, it is done. It's scared the shit out of people now.
Seriously.
You go down, you see a cut going down the road, and it obviously stepped everybody back a long ways, and it scares the shit out of people to see a cut, on
10
on a
guys
biker.
riding in cuts,
Right.
riding by their families, and I wave at kids and stuff because I just hate that.
Right.
I hate that perception of that stereotype. It is, to me, it's domestic terrorism. These guys, they're committing domestic terrorism, and we can't allow it. We can't allow this type of thing. And that's what that officer said, is we're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow broad daylight for these thug bikers to come in here fighting over like little bitches over a piece of patch and who can wear a bottom rocker. I just can't understand the juvenile mentality in that. These grown men fighting over, get a life. For God's sakes, get a life.
We're lucky enough in this one is that they're just shooting each other.
Right.
No innocents.
Well, there were innocents in the restaurant.
But you're right. They got hit.
We got lucky. Yep. You're right. We got damn lucky because there was innocents around in there. And I know a lot of people say, well, the Cossacks, and they claim themselves, we're not 1%er club. It doesn't matter whether you want to man up and put the 1% patch on or not. You are involved in criminal activities when you're running people off the road and beating up a bandito, and you're coming to this particular meeting with all kinds of weaponry, and you're even trying to talk truths. And I guess so I'll leave it at that on this particular video clip. Let's move on to the next one. What do you say, Popeye?
Let's move on.
All right, this is interesting. All right.
Line of Bandidos bikers roll up,
I was the first one to pull in there.
including Jake Carazel, who was riding in with his dad and uncle and looking for a place to park.
Family tradition.
As we turn in the bike parking, I see 50, 60, 70 Cossacks there. It caught me off guard.
Really?
As soon as we pulled up, I back in, and they were surrounding my bike.
No.
John Wilson, the president of the Cossacks Waco chapter, was sitting on the Twin Peaks patio with his son.
The lead guy, I looked out, I was watching, and he deliberately steered into one of our prospects and hit him. He wasn't going real fast, but he deliberately ran into him with a motorcycle, enough to, knock him down.
Carazel says not quite.
I didn't run over anyone's foot. I think they've come up with different scenarios to try and justify what happened.
And what was that mission?
I know without a doubt they were there to confront us.
Clifford Pierce, the prospect assigned to guard the Cossacks' bikes in the lot, is caught in the middle.
Anyhow, a squabbling went on about them blocking the bikes in.
That's Pierce talking to investigators.
You got your foot run over.
Actually, I didn't get my foot run over, but I was in the way out there. I didn't get out of the way fast enough.
And of course, when that happened, everybody rushed over there from both clubs. It wasn't really a fight at that point. It was just, some shouting back and forth, some verbal altercation.
As the shouting match quickly escalates, you see Carazel with a yellow helmet right here in the middle of it. He says a Cossack threw the first punch.
See that,
we
Popeye?
were hit so quick that I didn't even have time to take my gloves off nor my helmet.
Fists are flying, then far worse.
I heard a gunshot, so I just hit the dirt.
And then someone pulls a gun, pops off 3 rounds.
No.
Then someone else pulled one, then someone else pulled one. It's gunfire coming from all different areas.
I remember yelling for my dad because I knew he was there somewhere. I've never been that scared in my life.
Carazel is taken to the ground. He's in an all-out brawl with several Cossacks. He doesn't realize it then, but you can see a biker emerging from the chaos, pointing a gun and looking for a target. But suddenly, the biker's head snaps back and he drops to the ground.
You hear the shots whizzing
I hear
by?
the shots going off, whizzing by me. I had guys all over me. I had one that I had taken to the ground, and I was kind of using him to block me from the rest of them.
He stumbles and looks for cover as another biker takes aim.
You actually see 4 plumes of smoke come out from him, and he's pointed right at you.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, 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 and then you fall to the ground. You didn't get hit.
No. Looks like a cop, may have taken him out, and
he dropped
right
after he fired 4 times.
Yeah. Wow.
One biker brazenly runs across the patio, shooting wildly into the parking lot. Terrified customers and waitresses run for cover. This Twin Peaks waitress didn't want to be seen on camera.
There was a lot.
Okay. I played a longer video clip than I wanted, but that's okay because there's a lot that went on in there. All right, so let's talk about this Jake Carrizal. He's a Bandido member. He's the one talking there. Why don't you start with this one of any thoughts, and then I'll spawn off that.
Well, okay, so what it sounds like is this Jake Carrizal rolls in, and he's got to be one of the lead bikes coming in with the Bandidos. Comes rolling into the Twin Peaks. They've got a prospect from the
Cossacks,
out front watching the bikes. And originally, a lot of it was reported that, he ran him over, they were fighting over a parking stall or whatever. And that doesn't appear to be the case. But some type of incident takes place when he comes rolling in. This prospect from the Cossacks just doesn't get out of the way quick enough or whatever. And somebody probably thinks that's a sign of disrespect or
Testosterone. Straight up.
Get the hell out of the way.
Wolverine.
So, so they, some words are exchanged, and then turns into an argument. Next thing you know, you got fists being thrown. Fist turns into guns, which is the catalyst to this entire thing.
Yes. So here's that was a neck bubble, by the way.
Yeah, Jesus.
Matt will edit that out, hopefully. All right. Here's interesting. This is the guy I'm talking about. I think I talked about it in part 1 of this series. Here's this Jake Carrizal guy who seems fairly educated, well-spoken, pretty clean cut. He says
that's why he's on TV.
Right. You're right. Well said. That's exactly what the Bandidos do.
Yeah, they didn't take some dirtbag
and the HAs and everybody.
Yeah, who's dropping an F-bomb every other word.
Missing teeth on meth, tweaking on his latest hit of meth.
Put him on there.
Jesus, nice. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly their PR ploys. Here's a guy, I can't believe though that he gets on national television and goes, I was the scaredest I've ever been in my life. Because I'm not dogging him.
His attorney told him that.
Right. I'm not dogging him for that. Yeah. For just being a man and saying that, but I'm just like, I thought you were supposed to be a badass 1%er. I thought that, I mean, these guys wear this 1% patch and they walk around like they think they're badasses, and then just own it and go, this is what I would expect him to get on. If you were a real man, if this would have been back in the 60s, okay, when clubs started, he would have got, first of all, he wouldn't have been on the news because they didn't talk to the news.
Right.
Okay. They're all trying to get public support now, but he would have, here's what if I was Jake Carrizal, and I wanted to be a 1%er, here's what I would do. I'd get on and go, yeah, it's fucking dangerous out here. We're running this biker world. I'm a 1%er. You see this fucking patch? 1%er. That's the risk we take. It's war out here. And by God, we're hard. We're fucking hard. We cruise hard. We ride hard. And that's the lifestyle we chose. You know what? Gunfights are part of it. You want to be a 1%er? That's part of it, man. We're tough. We're the men. You know what I mean? I'd have respected him for that.
The news, though, man.
I would have respected him for that.
And
I mean,
but you know what? I would say that. Well, first of all, like I said, his attorney told him to say it like he did on the TV. However, I think that is probably much more accurate. That is probably the most scared he's been in his life.
That's why I respect him for it.
Yeah, you're putting up a front when you're saying, hey, it's tough out here. We're badass. That's what happens.
They would have,
That's putting up a front. But like I said, was he scared? Shit, yes, he was scared.
He should have been dead
you ever
twice.
Had bullets flying at you? Yeah, it's scary. It is a scary deal. And so for him to get on there and say that, yeah, I do believe that is the truth. But
much respect.
But do I think his attorney told him to tell him that? Absolutely. Right. I think his attorney said, here, say this. But I honestly believe that's probably the most scared he's been in his life.
He might have shat himself.
Probably.
I would have shat myself. I'm
sure. Hell yeah. Shit, yeah. Bullets are flying everywhere. You know,
he should have been dead twice. Deal. Because, So here's another point I'm bringing up because I'm making notes as I watch these video clips. Here's the other point, and a lot of people say, well, that one guy that first, when he gets in the fight, you'll see the video. If you guys watch this video again, I'll have it in the show notes. He points a gun at him. He is ready to execute that motherfucker.
Shoots 4 rounds, right?
No, that was the guy after.
Okay.
That's why he should have been dead twice.
So this is the first one. Yep.
If I were Jake Carazal, I'm just not going to lie to you. You should probably throw the cut, bro, and just take your losses and go live a normal life because you should have been dead twice, and he knows that.
Right.
The guy points at him. Here's some of the basement underwear bloggers that are living in their mom's house in the basement, blogging about this stuff on the other side, making up government Mars conspiracy theories about how the police are from Mars and they're arresting everybody illegally and all this just ridiculousness. But they're saying that, and they like to say the police shot several of those people.
Oh my God.
Well, no fucking shit.
Oh my God.
No, are you fucking serious? Of course they did. Of course.
You shot somebody for pointing a gun at somebody?
Oh my God. Yeah. And this Jake Carazal guy right there says, yeah, that was probably a cop that took care of him. Go back to the interview. He says that. Hey, Jake, how about a fucking thank you?
Right.
How about a thank you to the sniper that fucking recognized that you were a dead man and took care of business, even though you're wearing a Bandidos cut.
Right.
We are sworn to a standard, and even though you're
protect life,
we're going to protect you whether you're a shithead or not. And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying we're going to protect shitheads just as much as innocent citizens, and that's the standard in U.S. law enforcement. That
even if you took 2 guys who had been convicted of murder, and
we would still protect them.
Yeah, another one points a gun at somebody else, unprovoked, or in this case, maybe it was provoked. I'm not going to say, but you point a gun at somebody and the other person has no means to defend themselves, even as a cop, even though both these people are dirtbags,
right?
Both convicted murderers
or rapists,
that dudes or whatever,
yep.
Whoever it is, and I mean innocents. I mean people, you're normal law-abiding citizens. That dude's going down.
Yep,
going down.
We have an oath. And we don't agree with, in the back of our mind, but that doesn't change the way we're going to act. And Mr. Jake Carazal, you're alive because of a cop sniper that was a damn good shot.
Go buy him a lunch.
Go buy him a lunch and thank him for taking care of business for you. Even though he got put in that situation, because of your guys' actions. A thank you would be nice.
One hell of a shot, by the way.
Oh, nice. And
lights out.
So, because we have Leo experience and different tactical experiences. We'll just leave it at that. To me, that clearly the video, I think there's going to be 3 rounds found in that particular individual. The way he dropped and the lack of anybody else at that point that I could see that was pointing a weapon, it looked like a snipe shot to the head.
Probably 308 then.
308? Yeah, you're right, sniper. Yeah, it probably wasn't 223. If it was a snipe and not a 223, you're right.
You're looking at dropping him that hard.
You're right.
Probably 308.
Because he snapped.
Right.
It was lights out, now.
Yeah.
You're right. Good call. So that was probably, guys, absolutely. And people say, oh my God, several of those bikers dead are because of police. Again, no
God
shit.
bless them.
No shit. I mean, are you fucking serious? That's your argument?
How many other people would have been dead if they'd not started taking people out?
I know. When guns start flying, all bets off, people.
Yeah.
All bets off. When guns start flying, we will take, law enforcement in general will take appropriate lethal action to stop you from injuring or killing anybody else. And if you're out running around in a crowd with a gun, you probably are going to get shot. And welcome to the game.
Right. And in this situation, what it looks like, I'm not just saying, you got a cop that's sitting off in the distance. Let's say there's some sniper and you're in some situation and you pull out a gun in some type of a melee like this, that he's going to shoot you, because that's not what we're saying. But what in here, if you go back and you watch this video, what happens is
he was pointing at Jeff Carazal,
right? Well,
ready to execute him.
This dude pulls out a gun and he is pointing it at people who have no guns out whatsoever.
Right.
He's looking to execute people,
correct,
who do not have any means of defending themselves.
Dead man walking.
Right. And the other thing is, you got a dude who is sitting on the other end of that scope, and they're watching. through that scope. They're watching the action. So they're not just going to pick out some dude
right.
and just, just because you have a gun out or whatever and just take people out. Not what we're talking about here. They will recognize somebody defending themselves against another. We're talking about somebody, in this case, dude pulls out a gun, he's going to point it, and he's going to shoot somebody who is defenseless.
Video don't lie.
No.
And so I encourage you guys to, right. Sometimes video.
There's a reason the NFL has 10 to 15 cameras for every angle of something that happens. That's why it ticks me off. People watch a police video, they know exactly what happened. It's like the camera does not tell the entire truth. They don't get the thoughts of the officers. They don't get all the angles. They don't get
the actual light conditions because they think
light conditions is a big one too.
Video cameras. People are like, oh my God, he could completely see. Well, actually the video has IR. And so the officer couldn't see what was in his hand, but the video clearly shows you what in his hand, but that's not how that's some of the video we could get off a tangent, but that's a lot of the video companies for cops. That's what they're trying to do. People are like, why isn't the video better in court? Because they don't want to make it look better than what the officer's actual eye could see, because it's not fair.
Right.
Because he could not see the gun, but the video IR infrared could see it. Well, that's not fair, Right. So, we can get off a tangent, but you're right. You're right. But I encourage you guys to watch this video. It clearly, to me, looks like a sniper just freaking took care of business. And God bless the cop for a great shot.
Yeah. And in this video, it does look like innocence, no other, no guns, people running away. He is pointing freaking at innocence.
At Jeff, yes.
Yeah. Fantastic shot.
Yeah, fantastic shot.
Give him a medal.
And you're welcome, Bandito Jeff Carazol, for the cop saving your life. And you should actually come out with a public statement thanking the officer that you're alive and able to go home to your family. Because if it weren't for him, I'm pretty sure that guy would have got a shot and probably killed you. So
might want to send him a bottle of whiskey or something.
Yeah, no doubt. yeah. Send him a case of whiskey on that one, dude. That's all I'm saying. All right. So do you have anything else to say on that? Otherwise, we'll move to the next clip.
Moving on.
All right. Moving on to 2133.
And seen in the red bandana was not as lucky. He hits another biker in the throat with what looks like a chain. They wrestle to the ground. Then he struck several times in the head. He stomped on at least once and then looks to be shot by a third biker. He seems lifeless as the men he was fighting walk away.
So that's you guys will need to watch this video, but and I totally feel sorry because that whoever that's dead is somebody's father, right? It's somebody's brother. I'm not inhumane, but here's a guy, Popeye, that walks up violently takes another guy at the throat with a chain. So he was clearly trying to kill the other guy.
He's aggressing somebody.
He's just,
and then he's aggressing somebody and
this could happen
his
to you.
Ass kicked. How many times do we deal with people who want to press charges after they get their ass kicked?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You started the fight. Just because you lost it and you got your ass kicked and your jaw broken and now you have $20,000 in medical bills, that doesn't mean that person is guilty.
Right.
That means they were defending themselves. Same thing here. It's like, yeah, I don't want to sound inhumane, but you know what? This dude went after somebody. He wraps a freaking chain around somebody's neck, hitting him or whatever. Yep, sorry. They pulled out a gun and shot him.
Right.
And you know what?
A chain is a deadly weapon.
Exactly.
You can be shot for that shit. So if you're going to run around with chains and padlocks like some of these OMGs, these organized motorcycle gangs do, then that's a deadly weapon. And you will, if somebody's carrying a pistol, you'll be met with a pistol. And, it's just
hopefully a rifle. If you meet me with a pistol, I'm hoping to meet you with my rifle.
If I have my rifle, yes, yes. If not, the pistol. But that's a deadly weapon. Bats and tomahawks, and it just goes to show the amount of violence that was going on right here. This guy, he was all in, man, with his chain. He was gonna melee and attack these guys.
The only problem is he brought a chain to a gunfight.
Correct. Exactly.
Bad move.
Yep. Well, convicted felon probably, and but that didn't stop a lot of the others from picking guns. But
throw it in the toilet. Get rid of it. Throw it in the toilet.
Right.
Bag of chips.
It does not flush down a toilet. FYI, guys. They tried to put guns in toilets. The hole just quite isn't big enough, even for a 380. Probably not going to happen.
No.
Hell, Popeye, some of his turds won't even fit down.
No, you can flush them a couple times, break them up a little bit.
Water breakers. Oh God, dude. All right, so that one's. Let's move on. Let's move to this one.
By now, Waco police SWAT officers armed with rifles are firing from the perimeter.
The shooting at individual bikers from bikers turned towards us. Our officers took fire and responded appropriately, returning fire.
When the guns fell silent, the Twin Peaks parking lot was a frozen bloodbath. Pools of blood smeared everywhere, shell casings scattered across the ground.
In my nearly 35 years of law enforcement experience, this is the most violent and most gruesome scene that I have dealt with.
Dead bikers lie among toppled Harleys. Other men cling to life nearby, like Richard Kirshner.
You could tell he was shot in the lower abdomen or legs somewhere. It turned out he was shot in the buttocks and legs, but he was bleeding real badly.
Wilson says he begged police to help his dying friend.
I started asking the police to please bring the ambulance in. I was told that the area wasn't secure yet.
Okay, let's stop it there. Make sure I stopped it in the right place. Oh, let's play a little more.
3 of the dead were still alive 30 minutes afterwards. It was shocking and disturbing to me.
So you think there was a chance to save him?
Yeah, sure. We'll never know, but I mean, I have to think so. He bled to death.
All right, Popeye, what do you got to say on that? I know you got some thoughts about that.
Yeah. So this guy's talking about, he's actually the president of the Cossacks. The last voice that you heard there saying, hey, they could have come in, they could have saved these guys. We're trying to save them. I can tell you right now, as an LEO, is that if there is active shooting going on, nobody is coming, no paramedics are coming in, ain't rolling in to save my ass. It is called self-care. So if there is an active scene going on, active shooting taking place, until that threat is taken care of, you are not going to have paramedics, fire, EMS, whatever. They ain't rolling in to help you out. And so these guys saying, oh, the paramedics weren't coming in, the police weren't coming in to help us. They're not going to.
Because you guys are shooting everywhere.
Yeah, they're shooting. It's not a safe scene. Paramedics do not roll into a scene which is not safe. Until that scene is made safe by law enforcement personnel, they will not come in.
Yep. So,
it's not just because they're freaking 1% or bikers. It's for anybody.
It wouldn't have mattered what it was. We've had active shooters in movie theaters. Right. Sorry.
I'm saying, even if it was me, law enforcement lying around.
Right.
They ain't coming in.
And here's why, guys. It's common sense. And, a lot of people try to do conspiracy theories about this and, your underwear bloggers and stuff. It makes no sense. Okay. The police, number one priority. There are several priorities when police go into a active shooter scene like this. Number one is the safety of the officers, because without the officers, the scene will never get secure. So if you run into a situation and the officers all of a sudden are getting killed, then that scene is never going to be made secure. Okay. So officer safety first, of course. And then second is then they move once the officers are safe, then it's scene security. And once the scene is secure, then it's straight into the victims, treating the victims, and everything's secure. They'll treat the victims, and then your paramedics come in. And then after that, it's evidence collection and it's evidence preservation. Those are some of the typical type. If you're from law enforcement, those are some of the typical type priorities when you're going into a massive scene, and that can be a homicide scene or anything. Without the cops securing that scene, man, nobody's secure, and then you're going to have more casualties. And it's, you'd have paramedics that could be casualties, and that does nobody any good. And so, unfortunately, these are gruesome incidents, and that's the way it goes. And there's nothing else that can be done about that. And so, I love these guys, and that want to say, like I say, Popeye, and I've said it in part one of this too, is we all of a sudden want to be tough bikers. And then when the shit hits the fan, we want to blame the police and cry about how our buddy didn't get help. And
why didn't you run in and help? Why didn't you get him the hell out?
Right. I thought you didn't need the cops. I thought you were tough bikers. I thought you didn't like law enforcement. Well, if you don't like law enforcement, then why are you calling them? And then why are you wanting paramedics and all the services that are available here in the United States to come rushing into your aid all of a sudden? It's funny how quick their tough attitudes change, when shit hits the fan. And I'm sorry that, you had to be there like that and have somebody next to you. But again, I reiterate, you guys are injecting yourself in a situation that you didn't need to be in. All these people, you're choosing the lifestyle. This comes with the lifestyle. You'll have to accept it if you want to continue, being with whatever particular club you're with. This is unfortunate, but it shouldn't be a surprise to you. So let's look at this, Pop. You have anything else to say on that?
I don't.
Well, you better. Come on. Quit. Just drink. You're just drinking over there. You're not even
drinking your whiskey, not doing anything special.
All right. So I do want to mention that many of these bikers, and you saw it in the special, Popeye, large scale event. And me and Popeye won't sit here and tell you for 1 minute that this would be an easy undertaking for any law enforcement agency. It's an overwhelming.
Oh, it'd be a mess.
A mess.
An absolute mess. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, here when we start rolling through your clips of why were they detained for so long and all that stuff. But unbelievable. What a mess. I can tell you, just going into my jail, you back up 4 or 5 prisoners, booking them in, and you might be sitting there an hour. You're talking about 170-something people getting arrested. What an absolute mess out on the street to deal with this.
Yes, and they took many of them to the Waco Convention Center. That was pre-processing, basically, zip ties and whatever else they could. They had cameras and tape recorders and all that kind of stuff. But with that said, let's dive into this right here.
Putting them through absolute hell anyway.
The scene had to be secured.
Former ATF agent Matthew Horace says hell or not, this is how police needed to handle this incident.
I think everyone has to understand that once gunfire erupted, this became a crime scene. And anyone who was on that scene became a potential part of the crime. And if it's 20 people, 200 people, or 1,000 people, we will take as long as we have to take to ensure our safety and the public safety.
Well said.
Yeah.
You want to talk? Go ahead.
Well,
let's follow up on it a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about that the last episode of you're involved in something major like this. You got dead people lying all over. You got people with gunshots lying all over. Is that the police have every right to come in there, detain everyone until they can figure out what is going on. You're not free to leave. Something, a crime has been committed. Terry versus Ohio, 1960s court case. We have every right to come in, detain people, and figure out what in the hell just happened.
Yep. And imagine, guys, for 1 second, even if you're not Leos, and I know, law-abiding bikers and that kind of stuff, imagine you're putting yourself in that shoes. And we have the luxury of sitting back drinking whiskey right now, or water, or beer, or whatever, coffee, whatever you're drinking. I happen to be drinking a Blue Moon. But we have the luxury, and I don't take that lightly, because I don't like being Monday morning quarterbacked, and neither do you, Popeye, because it happens to us daily at our job. We have the luxury of sitting here in a nice, comfortable studio, non-threatening, and seeing all the video now. The police did not have access to anything.
Absolute chaos.
Except chaos and blood and weapons and criminals and shots fired and a massive, the videos didn't come out. They don't have immediate access to those videos. Half the time we go to stuff, the store will have video, but they can't even get it to us on a thumb drive because we have to drop off a CD. These things aren't always immediate. What the police have to worry about right there is detaining everybody until they can either confirm or deny that person was involved.
Or I've been involved in incidents where it's not even until 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you're talking to somebody or you see a video and all of a sudden you go, whoa, I had no idea that happened. It's not until the after action of the videos or talking to people that absolute everything gets put together. So I can't imagine when you have a scene of this size to get everybody's stories together, and you've got probably only a couple of people to take this case forward to process everything.
Right.
So they need to understand, and basically that would be, your prosecuting attorney,
right,
to figure out everybody's statements and to piece together all of this information. I mean, what an absolute mess.
Yeah. And so, a lot of the people, like I say, Monday morning quarterback and all your stupid, some of these people that are talking online and stuff, not huge followings, but still they're talking their schmack. Why didn't the police just watch the video? They didn't even know whether there was video or not. They're not going to go in and go, hey, everybody, I'm Sergeant so-and-so Swanton with the Waco, Texas Police Department. I just need everybody to go ahead and chill out for a second, grab yourself some barbecue and beer, and I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to see if there's some video, and I'm going to eat some popcorn, and I'm going to go ahead. Don't worry about those dead bodies, right? They're not a big deal. And I'm going to go ahead and review this video and probably review it about 3 times. And hopefully sometime by tomorrow morning, I can come out and I'll let y'all guys all know who's under arrest and who's not. You know, really, I know that seems silly, but that's exactly the reality of some of these.
And on the other side of things, let's just say that, okay, we're going to take 3 days and then we're going to figure out what the hell's going on. Okay, here we are a year later. We have, a large amount of indictments. So we have 154 indictments or whatever.
Yes, out of 177. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And most people would want the police to take their time and do a good job and do a good, thorough investigation. So if they'd taken 2 weeks and said, yep, we got everybody. Well, let's not do a shoddy investigation here. Let's do a thorough investigation. We're talking about these guys going away possibly for the rest of their lives. So let's just not fly through something and figure it out. But on the other hand let's do a good job and figure out exactly who fired these shots, who killed who, so we can put them away for the rest of their lives. So I mean, we got both sides of the coin here. Let's not just throw people in jail, but let's not do a shoddy investigation or to where this person gets out, as well, because we did a crappy investigation. Take your time. There's really not a rush at this time. And the other thing is that what I was thinking about earlier is that you've got all these guys out on $1 million bail. So they'll put up probably $100,000 in order to get out because it's 10% of a bond for the $1 million.
Right.
So you got these guys who put up a lot of money to get out. Now, these guys know they are looking at some serious time, some serious indictments.
Mm-hmm.
They are probably going to be minding their P's and Q's.
Correct, because they're
during
on bond.
that time. So at least during this year, they're probably being good little boys.
Right.
And they're not causing too many problems. So at least we have that going on the side of law enforcement.
Right. Yeah, no, well said. Well said. Now, here's an interesting point, moving on. Now, a lot of people say, and you're going to hear, why didn't the police stop this before it happened? We can get in, oh God, I could go off on that. Okay. Absolutely. You got to listen to this video clip. This is one of the scantily clad ladies from Twin Peaks, which is like a Hooters, basically, a knockoff of Hooters. Some people call it whatever. So she actually, the Waco police, you guys got to understand, the Waco police, we've already did it in this episode. There was 3 major incidents leading up to this. The absolute tensions that were apparent to law enforcement. There was bulletins apparently per this video that went out in this area of the tensions, and law enforcement actually went and met with the establishment of Twin Peaks, and they were too ignorant because they're money hungry. It's the American dream, right? They know that this is going to bring an assload of business. They chose, law enforcement urged them not to hold biker events multiple times. This is a witness that is actually an employee, one of the gals of the Twin Peaks, and she was there when police were urging them not to hold these type of biker events.
2 women who worked at the Twin Peaks Restaurant. One of them a waitress who was there when the shots rang out. Amy, who doesn't want her real name used, doesn't want her face shown for her safety. She says the trouble started in the parking lot of the restaurant.
At first, it seemed like it was just a simple fist fight.
And were they yelling and screaming?
There was a little bit of yelling. Like, you couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but you could hear a little bit.
Amy says almost all of the bikers were on a patio outside of Twin Peaks. A patio that fits about 100 was standing room only.
Next thing you know is you just hear the first gunshot go off, and then a couple fired after that.
And what are you thinking?
I honestly didn't know what the hell was happening. I didn't know if gunshots were going to become flying in towards the building or if they were just going to be going back and forth between who was shooting. There was a lot of screaming. We just, you hear all of us, oh my God, what's going on? Just start screaming and take off running to the back. Some of the people were down squatting and running at the same time, or crawling to the back.
Employees and some customers hid inside a walk-in refrigerator and freezer.
So you walked into the refrigerator, and how many people were in there with you?
With me, there were 7 waitresses, and then 1 customer, and 6 or 7, maybe 8 of the kitchen staff and back of house staff. It was pretty scary. Because we were trying to put stuff in, because in the refrigerator where we were, we actually had the racks to move in front of the door to kind of barricade ourselves. So if anyone were to come in trying to actually get after everybody, we at least were protected.
But what were you discussing while you were in the refrigerator with everybody?
Just if we were even going to make it through.
Amy says after about 10 or 15 minutes, bikers outside the refrigerator, at least some of whom ended up being arrested, told those in the refrigerator the coast was clear.
So you walked out of the refrigerator in a line, your hands up. Who told you to put your hands up?
The police did. As we were going through, like, somebody up in the front was told to put their hands up, so they kind of passed the word back, so we were just passing it back to each other.
So you went out with your hands up. You must have been very relieved.
A little bit, but it was kind of nerve-wracking having guns pointed at you while you're walking out of the building.
By the police?
Veronica Williams left her job as a bartender a week before the shooting.
So it's your opinion, though, that the police gave your bosses fair warning of the possibility of big-time trouble with these guys?
Veronica says she was working in the restaurant last month when cops came to talk to the bosses.
Tell me what the police officer told your managers.
He said there was conflict between some of the clubs, the motorcycle clubs, and it, would be in the best interest to not have any biker events.
But events continued to be held. The top manager at the Waco Twin Peaks did not return our phone calls. Today, Amy is grateful to be alive.
I look back at it, I'm just like, we're all beyond blessed that it wasn't worse than it already was.
Garen Tuckman joins us from Waco tonight.
So there you go. Absolutely, the Twin Peaks. The law enforcement was trying to do everything within their legal authority, again, within their legal authority to tell this business, listen, now the police don't have the authority in the United States to shut that business down, okay? It just doesn't work that way. And some of the naysayers out there say, oh, they should have stopped him. They don't. If they would have, then imagine the headlines. Police violate business rights, tell them they can't conduct business and make money from common bikers and family organizations trying to have a simple COC meeting and trying to just eat ribs or eat barbecue. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Drink beer and eat
They're
barbecue.
not here to drink beer and eat barbecue.
Drink beer and eat barbecue. That's all they're trying to do is drink beer and eat barbecue, and the police are infringing on their constitutional rights, and they're not allowing the Twin Peaks to make money. Can you imagine the headlines?
Yeehaw.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
People just think the police can go in and freaking shut down. But you know what? You're not going to have or the police. You're not going to have shut her down. You're not going to serve any barbecue and beer this weekend.
That girl either quit or got fired after this.
No, right. No, she quit a week before. The one that heard the meeting.
Oh, she did quit. Okay, I thought she said it quit. I heard them say she quit as a bartender. I just figured it was somebody else.
No, she quit a week
else.
prior to the incident.
Yes. Smart girl.
Very smart.
I'm out.
Yeah, and she was there with Twin Peaks has some culpability.
She wasn't hiding in the cooler?
No,
I thought it said she was hiding in the cooler.
There was two. You didn't see the video, but that was two different females.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
That's where it's...
Yeah. There was two different females. They interviewed one. Then the one that heard the conversation, she was not there at all because she quit a week prior.
Right. Smart. Getting out of Dodge. This is stupid. I'm done.
Yep. Yeah, this is not about beer and barbecue. It's about Hooters and barbecue. So, Twin Peaks, to me, somewhat culpable. And I think there is lawsuits, civil lawsuits.
Get the shit suit out of them.
Because they were warned, and that company did not take the appropriate actions and recommendations. Again, all law enforcement could do is recommend at that point. Yes, because they didn't comply, what did law enforcement do? The only other thing they could do, because they don't have the they stand by. And they were very prepared. They had snipers, they had SWAT, they had armored vehicles. They knew, they tried so hard to not have this happen, but they were out of options within the Constitution of the United States and what law enforcement can do. They were completely exhausted. Every option to stop this ahead of time.
Speaking of options,
yes,
wouldn't have been a bad option to be in the cooler with all of them. All those waitresses
standing by. Popeye might have been there.
Yeah,
there are preliminary reports.
I was waiting on you guys to get in here.
Preliminary reports say Popeye was in the cooler in his cutoffs with no shirt on, in his cutoff shorts, flexing his muscles. Love it, dude. All right. This is going to we're wrapping up here, guys. We're getting close, but we have some more information. This is the Bandito president. His last name is Pike. I don't care they'll tell you his first name. I don't remember, but this guy's a real piece of work. Jeff Pike. Jeff Pike. You got your notes. Look at that. This guy's just a juvenile. And I think you guys will hear that in his interview because, again, he's trying to put on a show and he's feeding his ducks and showing how he's just like old cars and he's not bad person and he doesn't know what's going on and he doesn't understand why the police are raiding his house and everything else these criminal organizations do to try to, again, the reason they go on media these days is because they're looking for public support because they know they have very little left. They obviously have almost zero support in the law-abiding biker community, but with the regular citizens, even now with incidents like this. So they try to go on and, portray some other, facade that's going on. So let me get to this and we'll listen to this little interview. I think this will bring up some good points, Popeye.
Pride has a lot to do with everything.
Investigators continue to piece together how the melee began. The Bandidos and the Cossacks point fingers at each other, but have come together over one thing. Both clubs blame the police for escalating the violence and for killing some of their brothers.
Do you think police overreacted that day?
I think they underreacted. They could have one uniformed police officer standing on the sidewalk in front of that place and then nothing would have happened. But they didn't do that. They promoted the confrontation. They got ready to film it. They sat in the shadows with their guns.
Why'd you have an armored vehicle there if you aren't going to use the damn thing?
As we reported earlier, the Waco Police Department refused to answer any of our questions about their role in the shootout, citing a gag order. But former ATF agent Matthew Horace says there was little the cops could do.
Biker organizations, the one percenters, have always fought with police. And at the end of the day, more guns in the room don't necessarily make it safer. And more police officers in the room when the shootout happens doesn't cause less death, it might cause more death.
How many of the Cossacks that were killed that day do you think or believe were killed by law enforcement that were out there?
I'm going to say 2 because of the gun wounds, because of the rapid fire. Everybody in that area had handguns. You're not going to bring an assault rifle hidden under a leather vest. Those were law enforcement guns.
Full ballistic reports have not come back, but evidence from the autopsies and firearm analysis shows that some of the dead bikers were hit by .223 caliber ammunition, ammo generally used by police for assault rifles. What's not clear yet is if police gunfire actually killed any bikers.
The police organizations on that day were carrying .223 weapons, which are standard tactical weapons to be used in situations like that. So that goes with the territory. It's pretty clear that some of their officers did hit a number of the bikers. Once things have escalated to a point where lethal force is justified, at that point, all bets are off.
All bets off.
Exactly. All bets are off.
We said that earlier. When lethal force is justified, if you're yielding a gun and pointing it at people, you're probably going to get shot. So that's just the way it works.
I like the president saying, just put one cop out front and nothing would have happened. No, that guy is a target. If you have hundreds of bikers here, that guy is a target. This would have went down whether there's one cop standing out front or not. Now, and the other thing is
1,000 weapons against one cop, one uniformed cop, 1,000 armed frickin' one percenters.
And on the other side of that is that there are cop cars that were stationed around there that have dash cam video of this thing. I mean, they're on the outskirts. Correct. I'm sure they're easily identified because they're filming this. I mean, that's where most of this video has come from. Correct. Them rolling in is from law enforcement who knew they were coming there. And so they sat there and they waited and they set up film so they could video this entire thing.
They knew something was going to happen. They had powerless to stop it
and
ahead of time.
And there are cop cars sitting around this thing. So if you've got a cop car that's sitting there and this goes down anyway, you put a cop sitting out front, like you say, he is nothing but a target.
You're right. And it's just such a, these people are so childish. They're so ignorant. You had, they knew they had SWAT vehicles around here.
Right.
And they still, SWAT vehicles and snipers and fully armed officers with 223s right on the outskirts, and they all knew it. They all admit it. They all knew the cops were there. And they still got into a freaking gun melee in broad daylight. Do you think this, by putting one uniformed cop in there, would have changed jack shit? If you're not scared of snipers and armored vehicles and you're willing to do this in the broad daylight, you're not going to be scared of one uniformed cop. And we wouldn't put one uniformed cop in that kind of situation because that's a death sentence.
And it was reported right away that, immediately following this, where, you get these bikers saying, oh, the cops shot him. Okay. Well, so obviously you knew that cops were there
right
immediately, because if they were blocks away or whatever, it would have taken them much longer to respond to this incident rather than while it was going on.
Right.
And they were almost immediately there while people are pulling guns. They got surveillance video. And yeah, absolutely. Did they drop them? Yes, they did. But that's another thing that just shows that these bikers knew, or at least had to have known, that there were cops in the immediate area to be firing upon them as they were pulling guns out.
Right. Right. Well said. And the other point I want to bring up on this is, it just, again, I reiterate, is all of a sudden we have big, tough bikers that claim to be tough, that want to be tough, that portray themselves as tough. And now we're crying about how the police handled it. I thought you didn't support law enforcement. You didn't.
Cops should have been there to shut it down.
Right.
Well, what do you mean? What, you couldn't handle it yourself?
We should have a police walking around in uniform protecting us.
That's right.
Because we need security for police.
What do you need security for?
Oh my God.
If you guys are just a bunch of friendly bikers,
Babies.
why do you need security?
Just babies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the juvenile thought pattern that I hope you guys are understanding here. These are not mainstream society. These people don't think like adults.
I think a lot of it is they just want to pin it on
any heat
somebody
they can get
else.
off themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Get the heat off themselves. They caused it, but yeah, it's not our fault. Yeah.
Yep. I love calling it as it is and just saying, if you're such a big, tough and badass, then just why are you crying on the media on an interview about the police didn't help you just right? Well, if you're so tough, then I thought you didn't need police. You know what I mean? 223s. Just so everybody out there knows, 223 is a lot of law enforcement. I know both Papa and I carry AR-15s. That's a 223 round. That's a tactical rifle that is pretty widespread throughout law enforcement. So yes, as we've said, likely law enforcement did kill several of them. Completely 100% justified.
That'll happen when you pull out guns.
That will happen when you want to shoot guns in broad daylight at people. You might get shot.
Innocents around.
You might get shot by another biker, or you might get shot by law enforcement. So don't cry about that. That is life, and I don't see anything wrong. And I totally expect the ballistic reports and autopsy reports to come out confirming that law enforcement did their job and stopped multiple threats from killing more people.
God bless them.
God bless them. Good job on that. And there's nothing more to that that you can make. So let's do this. All right, here's the ATF raid on Pike's house, which Pike is the national president of the Bandidos. This might bring up a few good facts. Let's see where we at.
He actually resigned after this.
Yes.
He stepped down.
He did, because he's indicted federally and he may be going to prison.
Right. Hard to run the organization from prison.
That shit happens when you're involved in this kind of criminal activity.
You probably don't want as much heat on you when you're freaking getting RICO status and, I'm still a president. Yeah. You might want to pass that on.
Somebody else to take the shoes. Let's see what we got.
This is the epicenter of the fight against the Bandidos. Here, federal agents from the DOJ and the FBI have far more on their minds than what happened 200 miles away in Waco.
The San Antonio federal prosecution, I believe, is going to be an effort to completely crush criminal behavior from Motorcycle Club.
Now, this is an attorney with a bolo tie on, with a Texas star and a pinstripe suit. Guy's a real knucklehead, but he's smart enough. He's smart enough to understand. Damn right, that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
You're damn right. They're trying to take down the frickin' criminal organizations. You moron.
Attorney Paul Looney represents 3 bikers arrested in Waco.
Do you think any of these Waco biker cases will ever see a Waco courtroom?
No, not one. I think that the federal investigators took charge of this on the very first day. Their goal is to maintain the status quo while the federal agencies complete their investigation in the Bandido indictment out of San Antonio.
That Bandidos indictment was underway long before Waco ever happened and likely has a different goal. Looney believes the feds are really after the big guys who call the shots for the Bandidos.
Did you know it was coming?
Hell no, I didn't know it was coming. I would have waited.
This here is the national president of this is Pike talking right here. So there's some truth to be held to this, and I'm glad they're recognizing it. Yes, the Bandidos, they believe is obviously labeled as a criminal organization. They're probably trying to hit them hard.
At the gate.
Big guys like Bandidos president Jeff Pike. In January, the feds came for Pike in a big way, torching their way through his front gate in an early morning raid.
They woke you up.
Yeah, the Heather woke me up. Somebody's here again. I looked.
And what'd you see when you looked
I
out here?
saw an army tank looking thing with red and blue lights on it. I said, baby, that would be the cops.
It was a cavalry of around 20 federal agents.
So I guess I better get up.
That morning, Pike and 2 Bandidos leaders were indicted. The federal indictment included a wide range of charges: assault, extortion, and murder.
No.
But no mention of the shootout in Waco. Pike pleaded not.
So to put that in perspective, for the listeners, that indictment had nothing to do with the shooting in Texas. They were already investigating Pike and multiple Bandidos because obviously, like we've told you, there's large factions that are involved in criminal activity in these organizations. The feds were already hot to trot on these. I think they just my guess is they bump those arrests up a little bit to make a statement and put things in perspective for
to cover
people.
the Twin Peaks one, you're thinking?
Right. Well,
they're saying that nothing happened, or this doesn't involve the
It does,
Twin
that's
Peaks.
what I'm saying.
There's so much crap going on within
Right.
the Bandidos. I'm sure they've got.
That's what I'm saying. They were
figured out
investigating
something from
before
another case.
but I think they may have just. I'm guessing that they may have bumped that rate up just a little bit, but they still had plenty of evidence.
Oh, if
after the Twin Peaks,
are you just talking about for what they used to go and get him?
No. I'm just
raid?
No, I'm just saying that they obviously understood there was a threat. What I'm saying, I guess, to the listening audience is these indictments had nothing to do with the Texas shooting.
Right.
These indictments were well ready in place prior to the Texas shooting. The Texas shooting happened, then the raids happened, but they didn't have to do with the Texas shooting.
They probably decided to move, with information they already had.
That's what I'm saying.
Good, gotcha.
Right.
And they'll probably end up getting charged for shit from the Twin Peaks shooting too.
Yes, exactly. That will be coming. This just got them in custody and on bail. So again, guys, these guys are being investigated all over, and if you are part of it, you are probably being investigated too. There's a high likelihood.
Wait for your time.
Wait for your time and sleep with one eye open because, you may get your door kicked in.
Guilty and is out on bond awaiting trial.
The indictment against you and the others says you guys are extortionists, thieves, murderers.
Who'd we kill?
This guy's just a juvenile.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If you guys watch this video, just look at this guy. Look at this look right here.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one right there. That's a good pause.
I did pause good, didn't I? Thank you.
Yeah.
I got lucky on that pause. Just a
you get people that say that stuff all the time.
Who'd we kill?
Yeah, who'd we kill? Well,
that's not an answer to the question.
No, who'd we kill? And it's a question for a question, and it's almost what information do you have?
Correct. It's to divert from the truth.
Yep.
And this guy is a juvenile. And the sad thing is, he could do a better job at deflecting these questions. But again, these guys don't know how to handle this kind of stuff, and he clearly is not a leader.
Neither Pike nor the 2 men indicted with him were in Waco that fatal day when 9 bikers were killed. Either way, Pike says, the Bandidos didn't start it.
Did the Bandidos...
Okay, did you guys hear the preface of that? He was not there.
Right.
But now he's going to say that the Bandidos didn't start it. So basically he's going off third-party information. So you can't take anything this guy says credible because he was not there. It's not firsthand.
Declare war on the Cossacks?
They asked me that in my interview when they arrested me. I laughed. They said, well, how do you do that? It's an act of Congress to declare war. I said, what did we do? Write them a letter or what?
Hey, he's a comedian too, Popeye.
Yeah,
just a frickin' comedian, just blinding the public. Yeah, you're real smart. Here we go.
But I don't know what they're talking about. Evidently somebody said it, but it sure wasn't me.
But I live outside Houston, north of Houston, and I live on multiple acres with concrete paths and iron rod fences and multiple old cars and bikes. Rich.
Yeah, and I'd like to see his house that they haven't showed. It's got to be big. Yeah, he's got, obviously as well,
living
large. A
large.
lot of money. He's got multiple Harleys in the garage, multiple old cars in the garage. Yeah, he is living it up.
Absolutely loaded. And just wants to play it off like he got his ducks, feeding his ducks in his cowboy boots. Look at me. I just come out and feed the ducks every morning. I'm a good guy.
They're on a mission for something. And it wasn't good. Who shows up to a Twin Peaks with a piece of chain? But
this is this Carousel guy. Did you hear him right there?
Mm-hmm. Who shows up?
I'm just saying, is this guy fucking with me, Popeye, or is he like oblivious that he's in a biker gang and that people carry chain and padlocks and shit and hammers?
People getting fights?
Are you? I'm serious. This guy may have fooled me, Popeye. This guy, I swear to God, I've watched this like 3 times, and I swear to God, this guy really doesn't understand what he's involved with. Am I just full of shit? Just
like
call my shit, dude.
Like
call
I
me.
said, he's a poster boy. Look at him, I mean, nicely groomed, talks well.
He does.
That's who they want in front of the camera.
Maybe he fooled me, dude.
Who are we gonna put up on CNN? Well, let's put a freaking Joe Schlicker over there who looks like shit with his teeth gone. Yeah. No,
He's high on meth, tweaking. He's picking himself and shit.
Not putting him up over there.
So you think this guy is really just really
handpicked? I think he's
okay.
He's obviously probably a hierarchy in there too. His dad is in there and his uncle, right? This is the guy, his dad and his uncle. And so, he's working his way up. He's a poster boy. He'll probably work his way up into the top echelon someday. Like I said, I mean, you look at him, he's, you're freaking normal looking dude, decent looking dude and well groomed. Yeah, who do you want on there? You want somebody like that out there.
So you really think he's just deceit? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he's just out there blowing deceiving smoke, us. Making the club look better. Like you said earlier, he's not going to get out there and say, "Yep, you know what? This shit happens when you're involved in this type of element. That you sometimes get into shooting, sometimes get into fights. That's just the price."
I'm agreeing with you more now.
That's just what happens.
I think you're converting that they handpicked him because he actually is fooling me a little bit. Like, it was the scariest thing. And who brings weapons to things like this? I mean, he's really fooling me, dude.
He's just going, I can't believe this happened. I mean, this just boggles my mind. We're just out here, a bunch of brothers riding, having a good time on our motorcycles. We love to do. And god dang, we just showed up to have a meeting and holy shit,
You're right.
all this just broke out.
If they handpicked him, they did a damn good job.
Yeah.
Good PR.
Yeah,
because
exactly
the average citizens, even he's fooling me a little bit. Even average citizens look at this guy and think he's another guy's brother.
Yeah,
I mean, wow, good call. I think you're bringing me around on this guy.
Boom,
Tons with brass knuckles.
Who brings brass knuckles?
Bandito Jake Carousel was in Waco and in the middle of the brawl. You think they came there to ambush you that day?
Without a doubt.
Not so, says Dean, a Cossack biker who took a bullet that day. He asked us to hide his identity.
Okay, let me see here. Custer got ambushed, and all his guys died, and we had 7 people died. I wonder who had the most guns. Figure that one out.
Hear that? So that's what I was saying earlier. 7 Cossacks died and only 2 Bandidos. So that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, if that's an ambush, that's a poor ambush. That's not an ambush.
Correct. Yeah, right. Good call.
Dean says it was a Bandito who fired the first shot. Carousel says that's ridiculous.
Who would be that dumb to pull out a gun and shoot 3 times when you're surrounded by 50, 60 guys? That's
a criminal biker who doesn't have any common sense.
This looks like a good idea.
Right. I got meth in me and I'm good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nonsense. We're ambushed in a war zone.
What did these guys die for?
Well, from right now, the way Waco looks, it almost looks like stupidity. All I can say is that pride has a lot to do with everything.
Yep, testosterone and pride.
Right.
Well said.
Investigators continue to piece together how the melee began. The Bandidos and the Cossacks point fingers at each other, but have come together over one thing. Both clubs blame the police for escalating the violence and for killing some of their brothers.
Do you think police overreacted that day?
This is the response from the president, national former. He's resigned now, but here we go.
I think they underreacted. They could have one uniformed police officer standing on the sidewalk in front of that place, and then nothing would have happened.
And we already talked about that, but absolute ignorance and a juvenile comment.
But they didn't do that. They promoted the confrontation. They got ready to film it. They sat in the shadows with their guns.
Why'd you have an armored vehicle there if you aren't going to use the damn thing?
As we reported earlier, the Waco Police Department refused to answer any of our questions about their role in the shootout, citing a gag order.
And the reason, you might want to explain that to the audience, the gag order, is because law enforcement a lot of times isn't allowed to talk about investigations because they don't want to say things that are incorrect. And so what they do is they put a gag order on the whole thing until the prosecutors and investigators and detectives and everybody can actually investigate the case. It's not that they're hiding anything because everything's public disclosure. The public is going to have access to everything once the case is adjudicated. I don't make these rules. This is the way the United States works and with government and public disclosure. And so for the investigation purposes and to keep it real, basically, they do these kind of gag orders because they don't want a bunch of misinformation out in the media, because the media runs with those things, and you guys have seen it completely, a lot of times not on purpose, but contorts the story. And so they want to make sure that information doesn't get out to the public that is incorrect. And so when they release stuff, now when this case is adjudicated and it's fully investigated, everything is disclosable to the public. So there's nothing being hidden. It's just for the betterment of the investigation that they're doing that. Papa, you have anything to say on that?
That's to say you put out too much information, and it's also hard to get a jury. I mean, if you put out every piece of information you put out every piece of information you have on this case, how the hell are you ever going to try that in a court of law?
You're right. There you go. That's another reason.
Yeah, you bring a bunch of people in. Hey, anybody ever heard of this case? Yep, watched it all. When you're bringing the jury members in, and watched it all, been paying attention. How in the hell are you ever going to present all that evidence? In a fair and impartial way.
Well said, dude. Another complete angle that I forgot about. Here we go.
But former ATF agent Matthew Horace says there was little the cops could do.
Biker organizations, the one percenters, have always fought with police.
Yeah, we've already been through that. So good. All right. And then, of course, we already been through the ATF raid on Pikes, the former national president's place. And so he's on bail on the top three, some of the top three leaders in the Bandidos. And again, guys, those indictments don't even come from the Twin Peaks shooting. Those are stuff that was going on long before with federal investigations. So they're looking at some serious stuff. All right, so let's sum this up and let's take it out, Popeye. As far as this goes, guys, we're probably not going to do another episode. This is a 2-part series, but hopefully we gave you some insight. Again, my favorite, dude.
They're not here to drink beer and eat barbecue.
Again, guys, just put it in perspective. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. Again, we don't even have all the facts. We're just going off what we have, and we did a lot of research. Like I did 6 hours, and I know Popeye spent a bunch of time too. And when he first got here while I was cooking burgers, he watched the entire special and did his own research and notes. But, the details are going to take time to come out. I don't know if we'll do another episode on this unless something weird transpires, but I don't think there's going to. Popeye, I'll let you run right after this, right after I say what I have to say here. But I think that this is going to take years to pan out. I don't think this is going to happen fast. You're talking about 154 indictments. I don't think everybody's going to be convicted, is my prediction. I think some will. Like I said earlier, I think that some of the video and some of the people with guns are probably convicted felons. Some of the people are seen shooting. There'll be different charges than the criminal conspiracy type stuff. You'll have some assaults and some extortions, you may have even some murders or attempted murders. I think they're going to dwindle the charges down to the main players as much as possible. That's my guess. I can't believe that they would get convictions just because the way the United States justice system works, that they would get convictions on everybody for the criminal conspiracy. Again, I just leave you with, there were probably some innocent people there, bikers. But again, if you are injecting yourself into a COC meeting with Cossacks and Bandidos, when you are very aware of all the tensions and you're going to put yourself in that environment, you have to understand the risks that you're putting yourself in, your family in, that you could get hurt, that you could get arrested, that you could be in a shooting, that you could lose your business. Some people, talk about, well, I have a private business to run. And well, maybe you don't want to play with fire anymore. Popeye said it earlier. If you want to douse gasoline all around you and hope somebody doesn't throw a match, it might be a good time for you to think to get out of the lifestyle, because that is an inherent risk with the lifestyle. So, I guess that's what you can expect, guys, is just it's going to take time, and each case is going to be different, and there's no way we could cover every case and, every conviction, but we'll try to follow up on it as much as we can here and there as it transpires in the future. But I think you're kind of just stuck with what you have right now, and the legal system is going to have to play out at this point. What say you, Popeye?
You covered a lot of good points. I think the ones that I like to highlight on is, as far as the public goes, is looking at this and saying, here we are a year later, and we have nobody facing criminal time or jail time. Nobody's been said, here you are, you're getting, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, whatever the hell you're getting. What I can tell you is I've been involved in cases that have lasted for months and months and months. And sometimes, stuff takes a year or more to get figured out. And sometimes those things only involve, a couple of people. So when you're working with as many indictments that are going on here, 150 something people, that is going to take time. And it's something that you want to get right. Because if you don't get it right, you're not going to be able to go back and redo it. And so you want to make sure that you have it right at the time when you bring that before a jury, to make sure that you have all your facts straight and all your evidence ready to go. This is a major, major case. I can't imagine trying to put this stuff all together. What an absolute mess. Now, what happened here on this day is that obviously chaos and evil came to this place, and they all met up and committed some horrible acts. And I'm hoping that the people who are responsible, they're going to end up paying for it, and they're going to jail. Mm-hmm. Now, as Ryan said, is that, are all these people going to get sentences out of this? No, I highly doubt it, because you're just not going to be able to prove it. You're not going to be able to say that all of these people did exactly this, that, the other, whatever. I mean, there's just so much to this thing. There's so much chaos here. It is basically like being in a war zone.
Domestic terrorism, yep.
You're not going to be able to prove who fired what rounds. You got all these guns just dropped. You're not going to be able to prove what rounds belong to which gun and who had which gun. So you're looking at an absolute mess. But I just hope these guys take their time. They figure it out the best that they can. And the major players, hopefully that they go away.
Yep. Well said, buddy. Way to wrap it up. Hey, you guys. You know what?
No. You thanking some people?
Well, no, we've thanked enough. I will tell you this. On a light note, there was a lot of pictures, a lot of carnage, a lot of weapons we talked about. Again, guys, man, that's just a staggering amount of weapons, 1,000 weapons. That should tell you what kind of people were there. That should say enough to you. But I saw a bunch of pictures of the crime scene. Not going to lie to you, Popeye. Couple pictures. They opened the saddlebags. People had holsters of guns in their saddlebags.
Nice. Need to get some of those.
They did. But, homemade.
Right.
These people are ready.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, these people are ready. They got holsters built into their saddlebags and shit. But you know what I saw? A couple also had some bug slide in there.
Oh,
Not going to lie to you, but I know Waco police ain't thinking nothing about it, but I saw bug slide, guys. That's right. Don't forget.
Keep her clean.
That's right. Keep her clean. We do have it available in the Law Abiding Biker store, guys. Best waterless polish and bike cleaner, guys. That's right, our number one go-to motorcycle cleaner. Shines, degreases while removing bugs and other surface contaminants. Of course, don't forget, you can't just use it on your motorcycle. You got to use it on your car, boat, and more. Never need to wax again, Popeye. That's right. It contains a UV filter for added protection. Dries crystal clear, no yellowing, none of that damn powdery residue, Popeye.
Not that we don't like that. We don't like it.
You don't like the powdery residue.
We don't like the powdery residue.
Free of abrasives. That's right. Safe on all non-porous surfaces. Yes, even works on your Hardy denim paint. Guys, I know we get asked that a lot. We believe in it so much. Of course, lawabidingbiker.com/store. We're carrying it in our store. Big Daddy Keen has it ready to ship direct to you right now. We run the Law Abiding Biker store. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you, Popeye.
You betcha.
Straight up, dude. That was all. We just been podcasting for like 4 hours.
Hey, it's all good, bro.
3 episodes. So thank you, and it was
Take
great.
a ride down, you know. Put
Yes.
the time in the saddle, get down here, get on the mic, get to talk to all of our listeners out there. Love it.
Some burgers, some beers. Straight up, dude. All right, and we're going to work on your bike tomorrow.
Gonna work on my bike tomorrow. Yep, we're gonna be putting on some shocks. That's an upcoming video, folks. Sit around, wait for that one to come out. We're gonna do a
progressive
in-depth
shocks, right?
deal. Progressive shocks, yep. And they are the heavy-duty bagger shocks.
Nice.
Maybe at some point here we'll give you a update on how they are working after I've had some time to put some miles on them. So,
Yes.
Yep. But we're putting on those on my bike tomorrow. So stay tuned for that video. Of course, as usual, step by step without skipping any steps to make sure you know exactly how to do that.
Popeye's the man, dude. And we'll be putting that on the street glide. Don't forget, podcast hotline phone number. What is it, Popeye?
It is area code 509-731-3548.
That's right, guys. We appreciate it. And again, hopefully you enjoyed the 2-part series. I know it was a lot of information, and I know we're going to have some great comments and on these kind of things. Bring some. And if you're not, if you come aggressive and cussing, you'll be banned. That's just how we roll here. Bring good thoughts and adult conversation. All right, guys, peace out.